Hey, everybody. My name is Tony Gallo. I am president of the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everybody to our December manufacturing monthly webinar. I'm here with my co-host, Bernie Goski from Lorain County Community College. And we have been doing this. I think this is our fifth one, correct, Bernie? I think it's five already.
It is five. Yep.
December 1st. So
Mhm.
we're excited to actually offer today's Women in Sustainable Employment Wise Pathways. I think everybody who is on line today is actually going to be excited about what we talk about and how they might be able to hopefully attract and connect women to in-demand careers. So Bernie, we normally have everybody introduce themselves, or I'll turn it over to you. I think you usually ask people to kind of do that. So with that, I will hand the microphone over to Bernie.
Thanks, Tony. Hi, everyone. I'm Bernie Goski from Lorain County Community College, and really happy to have you all with us. At this time, I thought we could just go around the horn and figure out who's on with us. So Tony Schweppe.
Yes, good morning. Tony Schweppe, Lorain County Community College Business Growth Services.
Thanks, Tony. How about Eddie Hawkins?
Eddie Hawkins with the Lorain County Wahomings Job Center, Business Services.
Thank you. All righty. And Mike Longo? All right. Mike might not be able to unmute. Never know.
Mike's with Ohio Means Jobs too. So
yeah, right. Yeah. So, and so these are kind of our partners working together to provide this type of information with an encouragement to our employer partners to reach back out to us if this topic is of interest to you or anything else is that we could possibly help with as we try to solve some of the talent challenges in today's really challenging times. So now I'd like to turn it to our manufacturers who are with us on the call. So Molly.
Hi, yes, this is Molly Lucas. I'm the HR manager at AJ Rose Manufacturing.
Thanks, Molly. It looks like Christy might be having some trouble connecting to audio. Christy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm Christy Lyons. I'm an HR generalist at AJ Rose. Molly is my boss.
Thanks, Christy. And Mary? Mary
Hi,
Haber?
I'm Mary Haber from Agronomics in Oberlin, and I'm the HR manager.
Great. Hi, Mary. Thank you. How about you, Erin?
Hi, Erin Lavin, Togus Products HR Manager.
Thanks, Erin. And Jessica?
Hi, Jess Marino, one of the recruiters with Component Repair Technologies. We have Anthony as well, our other recruiter, so you'll probably hear both of us.
Perfect. So Anthony, do you want to just introduce yourself too?
Yes, my name is Anthony Perez. I'm one of the recruiters along with Jess at Component Repair Technologies.
Great, thanks. Marinette?
Hi, I'm Marinette Velez, HR at EMC Precision in Elyria.
Thank you. And Jordan?
Jordan Weber from Emerson Professional Tools, but regionally you guys know me as Rigid, so I put Ridge Tool Company in there.
Great, thank you. And it looks like we have somebody joining on the phone with a 440-934 number.
Oh, that's mine.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
Christie's.
that's
That was
Christy.
Christie's
Okay, great.
audio.
Got it.
I think we have Tina left.
Okay, Tina?
Hi, I'm Tina Hazlett. I'm with Lorain County JVS. I work in the communications area with the Adult Career Center predominantly. Thank you.
Perfect, thanks.
And we have Fitz, who's another partner with us from the Lorain County Manufacturing Sector Partnership. Fitz, you want to introduce yourself?
That's what I would have said. So
Okay,
there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Done.
All right.
All right.
So anything else to say, Bernie? I do want to remind everybody that we do re-record these and post these on the Lorain County Manufacturing Sector Partnership YouTube page. So everybody will receive a link as well as a copy of the slideshow just as a follow-up with this. And if for some reason they are all listed, the other 4 are there. If you see something that strikes your fancy, by all means, take a few minutes and have a watch. That's the reason we record these. So I don't know if I'm introducing Jenny or Casey or both of you guys to sort of kind of take it from here. So I will let you guys decide to go ahead and move forward.
So I just wanted to level set a little bit
Sure.
before we start the conversation. We know that as a result of the pandemic, in excess of 2 million women left the workforce. And the opportunity to get those folks back into the workforce and working in an industry that may be considered non-traditional for women, like manufacturing, could be a big bonus for folks who are trying to tap different talent pools to solve their talent issues. So today we're going to talk about WISE Pathways and what's been happening down in the Akron area in launching a pilot program. And could we think about doing something similar in Lorain County? I know at Lorain County Community College, we are definitely pursuing this for the spring semester. But as you'll hear from Jenny, there's all sorts of integration with community-based organizations, and it's a really cool way to bring together a lot of people who are already tapping into this talent pool and connected with this talent pool, and use that as a bridge to connect these women to careers within your company. Also important to note that employer participation in a program like this is really important. It helps to generate a lot of enthusiasm for these occupations. And so with that, I'll turn the mic over to Casey Roach. Casey's going to start us off and give us just a little bit of background on this program and on HHW Ohio. Casey?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Casey Roach. I am the Executive Director of HHW Ohio, formerly Hard Hatted Women. We have a presentation prepared for you, so let me share my screen. All right, am I sharing? Is it full screen? Do you see? Yep. Great, perfect. So just a little bit of background on HHW Ohio. We were formed in 1979 as a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire and support women as workplace and community leaders. Our mission is to accelerate women's success in high demand careers, like in manufacturing. We do this through engaging industry and community leaders to match women who need lifelong careers with employers who need a qualified and skilled workforce. Our work engages women and girls in critical technical and STEM pathways that strengthen the economic competitiveness of communities and the financial security of families. So we're really about making that connection between women who might be in transition with employers who are looking for their next workforce. So just a little bit of background on WISE Pathways. HHW Ohio, we developed the initial WISE Pathways as a career exploration program to address the questions of women considering non-traditional career options. And when we're talking about non-traditional career options, those are those careers in which women represent under a third of the working population. If women are 47% of the total working population, there are industries in which, they represent under 33%, and that's sort of our metric for non-traditional. And so thinking about what are the family sustaining careers that are available to me and how can I access them without extensive training? So where are those short-term options, short-term certificate or either apprenticeship or learn and earn opportunities? What skills and knowledge do I need to compete successfully? Where can I get the training and the supportive services? And how do I build a network to get into these careers and stay in? So it's about building not only the recruitment pipeline, but also helping them stay in and helping with retention. This is a very wordy slide, but we'll just give you a brief overview here. So as I mentioned, WISE was developed by HHW Ohio and has frequent iterations over the last 15 years that we've been working with it. We've had some great partnerships with AmeriCorps, the Center for Energy Workforce Development, and had a great investment from the Department of Labor. Beginning in 2016, HHW has been partnering with Lorain County Community College and Skill Commons to make WISE Pathways a free and open education resource available nationally. And we have several cohorts. You'll hear from Jenny. Statewide, we also have seen WISE Pathways adopted in states like New Jersey. So this is a proven practice to help engage and recruit women. WISE Pathways is designed to be hosted by many types of organizations, and really it's a partnership where the host organization coordinates the curriculum, the content that's needed for the participants, and then community-based organizations will come in and help provide those wraparound services. We're really about meeting women where they are and connecting them with those resources that they need to be successful, whether that's transportation, childcare, and then also connecting with local employers. We want to connect women with those in-demand jobs where they live. So what are those hiring needs that the local manufacturing community has, and how can we connect them through either entry-level positions with great pathways for advancement, or connecting them with great education partners like Lorain County Community College to get them that short-term training that they need to be successful candidates. So after completing WISE, organizations may offer additional services which help completers along their pathways. So it's really about exposing women to careers that are locally available that they might not have considered before, letting them know that they can be successful, connecting them with those resources that they need to make that transition, and really setting them up on their next step. We want to make sure that every woman who goes through a WISE Pathways program has that next step in mind and knows how to take it. We are still partnering with Lorain County Community College, and the main way we do that is through our Role Model Speakers Bureau. So we've been working to develop a library of role model speaker videos and offer training for role model speakers. So who are these role model speakers?
Hey, Casey, I just wanted to interject that, we do have Lorain JVS also on the call. And of course, that's an awesome educational institution also that could be helpful in launching a program like this.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And so the way that HHW plugs in, and this is also a resource available at any time to companies in Lorain County. So the Role Model Speakers Bureau is a tool designed to increase the visibility of women in careers like manufacturing, both production and non-production size. And it allows women to use their voice to let others know that they can be successful. So we, at HHW, we say you can't be what you can't see. And so this just really increases the visibility of women and shows women that they too can be successful in these non-traditional careers. Role model speakers deliver powerful personal anecdotes about their career and are open about their challenges. So it really demystifies these industries that women have traditionally been underrepresented in, and it builds awareness of different opportunities. So role model speakers are women, who are employed in industries like manufacturing, like construction, like information technology, who go through a short training and then are intentionally connected with audiences like WISE Pathways programs, or with programs like Rosie's Girls, or with high schools or community college events, where it would be beneficial to have women coming and learn about what opportunities are there and how they can get involved. And as I mentioned earlier, we've been working on developing a series of Role Model Speakers Bureau videos. We have an example here of Margie Chambers, who's a tool and die maker for GM. So in her video, she talks about how she was she went to school for fashion design, but that taught her how to operate an industrial sewing machine. And so she took that skill and went to GM and started fabricating seatbelts and really transitioned the skills that she picked up from sewing into manufacturing. And then when she got her foot in the door at manufacturing, she was able to take on an apprenticeship and eventually become a tool and die maker. So it's a really great story. And we know that every woman in manufacturing, or everyone in manufacturing, has a pathway and a story to talk about. And we really want folks, to empower women to tell their story and to connect them intentionally. So once you get these slides, you can click on that link and go watch Margie's video. And then finally, we've been working with Ohio TechNet and the National Laboratory for Education Technology to turn our WISE Pathways curriculum into a website. So this website has 4 modules to start off, including advanced manufacturing, and it really goes through the job trees of, if you enter in as like an assembler, where can you go from there? If you enter in as a CNC machinist, where can you go from there? And then also digging into on the job, what does it mean? So we have modules for conflict management, for communication, for interview prep and resume writing, to really help prepare women for entry into the field. This is based on the curriculum that HHW has worked to develop over the last 15 years, and makes it in a really accessible, interactive website. We also talk about earn and learn opportunities and have opportunities for partners to join an impact community where they can share their experiences and collectively problem solve to help recruitment and to start up their own WISE Pathways website. So we're really, or WISE Pathways program. So we're really excited about this. And this is a resource that's openly available to, it's targeted at women in Ohio, but open to anyone nationwide. Bernie, I know that you were critical in the development of this. Would you like to add anything about the WISE Pathways website?
Just real quickly, one of our goals here is, while WISE Pathways works beautifully as a cohort model, we know that there are women who cannot commit to coming to in-person events or even hybrid events because they're trying to take care of an elderly parent, they've got young children, they're already working full-time, but they are interested in transitioning into something different. So we feel like this could be a tool that will lead them over to manufacturing. And with the assistance of Casey and HHW Ohio, she can then direct them to our manufacturing partners if that's what they self-select into. Also, we feel that it's a great tool for people who are living in rural areas and may not be able to make the drive into an in-person session. So, or even as a flipped classroom, like if somebody says, you know what, let's go through and do a couple units before you come to the in-person meeting, preview some of these topics so that the time spent together can be more of a sharing between women, because we know that women sometimes lack the confidence that they need to dip their toe in the pond and move along to something that's not retail. They know what retail is, they know what healthcare is, they know what education is, but they're not sure really what goes on within the walls of a manufacturing company, and they might not feel as confident. But if there are other people doing the same thing with them, that can provide a boost.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that context. And so again, this is linked within the slideshow. So once you receive it, we encourage you to visit, but the link is listed there below. It's wisecareerpathways.com. So now I'm going to switch over. Oh, there we go, to Jenny, who's going to talk about what WISE Pathways looks like as an in-person program that she's working on in the Akron area.
All right,
Jenny?
Great. Thanks, Casey. So hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Stupica, and I am the Director of Manufacturing Engagement with Connexus NEO. And I'm also the project manager for Region 10's Scaling Apprenticeship Grant through the Department of Labor. And we have partnered with the Well CDC, and I'd like to introduce Brenda Coulter, who is the Workforce Development Manager for the Well CDC. And we joined forces with them to launch our first cohort of WISE Pathways this past summer. And just last week ended our second cohort. And so we're pretty excited. A lot of learning happened between the first cohort and the second. And so we, made some adjustments, some changes, which we'll explain in a couple minutes. Just a brief introduction of who Connexus is, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brenda for a minute. We're an organization that works, all we do is workforce. We support manufacturing, tech, and healthcare through our industry sector partnerships, and utilizing all of our partners in our general area. For manufacturing, it's primarily Summit and Portage counties. Really to serve our manufacturing companies, feeling that if our manufacturers can be successful in hiring the folks that they need with the right skills at the right time, then they're successful, their employees are successful, and it kind of snowballs backwards, and the communities become successful. So we've been doing this now. We started about 5.5 years ago with a small manufacturing network, and we now have over 100 partners, manufacturing partners in our industry sector partnership. And so I'm very thrilled to be working with Brenda and the Well to launch this program. And so Brenda, do you want to introduce yourself and just say a couple things about who the Well is?
I was muted. Thank you so much, Jenny. I appreciate you. So the Well CDC is a community development corporation. We exist primarily in the housing front. Our goal is just to provide rentals that lead to mature tenancy and home ownership. And the goal is just to increase the overall nature of our community in general. And our workforce development department was created just simply because we realized that we can't encourage those things without ensuring that people have the workforce development and training that they need to ensure that they have that economic stability. So just a little bit about where the Well got started in workforce.
Wonderful, Brenda, thank you. All right, Casey, we're ready for the next slide. So I'm going to let Brenda take this one because she really has done all of the heavy lifting when it comes to recruiting, screening the participants, and providing the support. So Brenda, do you want to talk about what that process looks like?
Absolutely. So we would not be able to run a program if it just wasn't for the solid partnerships that we've created, even with Connexus and just with community organizations who already have an established history of success with the work that they do with the community. So we have partners with like Ohio Means Jobs and the United Way Financial Empowerment Center and Project Learn, who actually come in to provide the training. So what we do is we utilize those partnerships to recruit and bring people into the program. So we have flyers and emails and newsletters, and there's a whole referral process when it comes to our partnerships. Some of our partners just simply hand off the applications and those get completed. With some, their participants may be a little more sensitive. So we do warm handoffs just to make sure that they're comfortable in the process of being transitioned to, over to me for workforce. We also post to our social media accounts just so that people can know that, that there is a program coming up. As far as screening, the participant completes the application. We then schedule an appointment where we do a whole intake process. We just want to make sure that we are focused on getting the right person in the right place at the right time, and that we're also identifying barriers, because a huge key to our program is identifying the barriers so that we can remove them as we prepare people to move into the workforce. I do require that people attend orientation, just because I understand that things sound great in concept, but I really want to be able to get a good idea for who's actually going to show up to class, who's actually dedicated, and orientation is usually a really good way for me to be able to identify that, to communicate what our expectations are, as well as to let them know what they can expect. Once they're approved to enter a cohort, then the cohort information is forwarded to that participant, where they need to come, what time they need to be there, and how often they'll need to attend. And just as far as support, not only do we provide that career readiness component, but I worked with them one-on-one to establish exactly what in the next 3, 5, and 10 years do you want to accomplish, and how can I aid you in getting to that process. Each participant is also then provided with 3 mental health professional visits, just because mental health is really the core of our program, and just understanding that mental health is a huge barrier for a lot of our population. So we want to make sure that we get them started off in the right front as far as mindset and mind health goes. We provide childcare and transportation and meals at no cost to the participants during the time that they're here with us, and are working with Connexus and a lot of other providers just to figure out how we can extend that ability to aid with childcare and transportation. We also provide one-on-one sessions that continue for 12 months afterwards. So it really depends on the needs of the participant. Some people I meet with monthly, some text me every day. Some people I meet with weekly. It just really depends on what they need and what sort of barriers they're experiencing in life. But the goal is just to ensure that not only do they begin working, but they're able to continue working, and that we're seeing some retention in the workforce as well.
All right, thanks, Brenda. All right, so I realize that you can't see this, but just bear with me for a minute. We just wanted to show you this illustration. This is what Brenda and I work off of. This is the schedule. It keeps us straight as far as the session number, what date it is, what topic is going to be discussed, or topics. As you can see, some of those sessions have multiple lines because sometimes it doesn't take 3 hours to do something. Most of the time, those sessions are broken up in at least 2 or 3 different subjects. And then what time, and then we list our partners that are going to actually provide the curriculum or the supportive service or the presentation for that particular session. So Casey, if you want to go to the next slide, here's a little bit there. It's a little bit easier to see. And this really is what Brenda and I use to keep us straight. We obviously like color. And so we decided mine was a lot more subdued. The first time around we did it, Brenda really livened it up, but it keeps us, it keeps things very organized for us to be able to see who's doing what on what date. And because it's in the spreadsheet, you know, there have been many times, oh, hey, so-and-so wants to do this particular presentation. They can't do it on this date. Can we switch it with this? And so it's really easy for us to be able to switch things around when we need to. And so you can go ahead and go to the next one. Thank you. And so the way that we've done this is the first cohort we had 8 women who registered, and we had 4 who actually went through the entire program and persevered and graduated. And we were thrilled with that, being the first time we had ever done this. We were very happy. And Brenda, help me out with this. Of the 4, we have 1 that is pursuing automotive. We have 1 that is already in manufacturing. We have 1 that is in, I believe she's at the University of Akron in construction architecture or engineering.
Engineering.
And then the 4th one, she liked everything so much she can't make a decision as to really which path she wants to go. Is that correct, Brenda?
That is correct. I still talk with her weekly. We're working it out.
So the second time around, we had 8 women who registered. And Brenda, can you give a little bit, share a little bit about these 8 women, because this was a unique group of women, several of whom English is not their first language, and so they were learning. But just give a little summary of the cohort that we had this time.
I'll try to keep it limited because this was by far like my favorite group of ladies. We had a total of 8, and I want to say 4, maybe 5 of them were from different countries. English was not their primary language. They were sent over from Project Learn. And when I tell you that these women just kind of latched on to the service and each other, and by the end, they had decided that they're going to create an international construction company. We just need a plumber is what we decided, but they're like, we're all still in the group chat, and they're working together and encouraging one another through this to kind of figure out. We had 2 who were able to pass the curriculum or the assessment for the curriculum that we were teaching, but we are trying to figure out, because it was just a matter of time. They really needed time to sort of understand the material as they move through the assessment. So we're just working on figuring out exactly how we can provide more assistance and more aid so that we can get the rest of them passed as far as that.
Great, thank you. So in the first cohort, we offered IT along with construction, manufacturing, and we created curriculum for automotive. The second go around, we replaced the IT with transportation, logistics, and warehousing, because they just fit a little bit better. And we were really looking for industries where women had an option. They could either go straight into work or they could go into training. And most, if not all, of the IT positions require some additional kind of training, usually a year or more. And so we decided to pull that out, put transportation in. And then the first cohort we offered in the evening. The second cohort we offered in the morning. Now that school was back in session, it just made more sense. It was less childcare that needed to be handled for students, because children who were of school age were able to be in school. And so it made things a little bit easier. Some of the additions that we have done, both in the first and second cohort, we added a session on emotional well-being and mental health. Brenda mentioned that that's a real focus for a lot of their folks, to make sure that they do have that mental strength and stability in order to go ahead and proceed down this path of training or work, and really making themselves self-sustaining with some of these occupation changes. We also, the second cohort, we actually embedded an industry recognized credential. We hired an instructor who teaches at several of our career centers in our area. And he came in and he taught the Certified Manufacturing Associate Program by Tooling U. That's the assessment that Brenda was referring to. We had 2 that passed. We had 2 others that just missed the passing cut score. And so we're working on trying to schedule a time for them to come in, do some study tables, and retake that assessment. We also added in a session for math skills, because we're finding that math is one of those things that most everybody needs a little bit of help with. And so we added an additional session. And then at the very end of the program, there's one on grounding practices, and Brenda does a phenomenal job of working with the ladies to create contingency plans. We have found that a lot of the women that have come through our 2 cohorts perhaps are single mothers, or don't necessarily have a lot of resources that, if they're getting ready to go to work and the car isn't working or the childcare calls off, they kind of are in a panic. And so Brenda works really well with them to try to create contingency plans. So when those things happen, and we know they're going to, they're ready for it. They know what they're going to do. They know they're going to call the employer. They're going to do this. They're going to do that, instead of trying to, go in a panic and try to figure out what to do. Some of our wish list items. We would love to have spent a session taking the ladies around to visit each of the industries that would be presented in the cohort. We have a lot of folks who are willing to do that. However, COVID has not been our friend, and we just weren't able to pull it off at this time, but we're hoping that at some point in the future, we're able to do that. We also talked to a company who was very open and willing to do this. It just didn't pan out because we didn't really have any takers this time who would take advantage of an 8-week paid internship after the cohort ended that could potentially lead them to full-time employment should they decide to stay with that company. And so that is something that we are going to focus on spending some more time. We had, like I said, we had a company who was ready to do it. But we've got one lady who was interested, but she has some barriers that we're working with the employer now to see, how he can work with that and at least get her in the door, to what potentially could be an excellent and life-sustaining for her and her family, an open position for her. So those are what we've done with the program. I believe that's our last slide. Does anybody have any questions?
Jenny, really quick, we just had a question in the chat wondering if there was any interview prep for the cohorts. And there is. We have a company called Silk Consulting that comes in and does kind of the interview prep, explaining what the interviewer is looking for and things of that nature. And then OMJ comes in and they do mock interviews in person, via Zoom, and via telephone as well.
And Brenda, I do believe there's also a session on that you talk about interview, not just the interview practice itself, but how to present yourself in an interview, how to conduct yourself in an interview, what to do to prepare for an interview, do some of the research and so forth. So it's a lot of time is spent on those skills. Anybody else have any questions?
This is Molly Lucas. Who do we get in touch with if we want to help you, fulfill your wish list? Go ahead.
Okay, so we're in Summit County, which is
So-
Akron.
Got it.
Yeah, so I'll pop in
So you
here.
guys are
Okay.
I'll pop in with the Molly. If you can contact me, Bernie Goski, and I'll put my information in the chat, because we'd love to talk with you or any of the employers who are on this call, to see how we can launch something similar in Lorraine County. And maybe Jenny, talk about the importance of your employer, of the support of the employers in this program, and the type of presentations that they do, and potential mentorship opportunities. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. So all of our industry presentations are done by local companies. And so let's just talk about manufacturing. And so this time around, we had 3 manufacturers who came out to present the manufacturing curriculum. Prior to the presentation, everybody who's going to present, we take a look at the curriculum, we make changes or make additions on things that they feel are important to share with the ladies on the industry, on the job occupations. Each company not only comes and talks about the industry as a whole, they talk about their specific companies, they talk about their job openings, what skills are required, what training is provided. And then the women all tell their stories. I mean, we explain to them at the end of the day, we really want these women in the program to walk out the door understanding that, hey, here's an industry that I could be successful in. These are the types of jobs that I could get. And I'm not just hearing somebody tell me that I can do this. I am seeing somebody who is like me, who is being successful in this industry. And so we really stress that the women who do the presentations tell their stories. How did they get into manufacturing? What has their path been? What have their successes and challenges been along the way? And, why do they stay? What do they love about it? And encourage women, to ask questions, to talk about the different paths, because we've got women who have come from all walks of life who are now in manufacturing or in construction or whatever. And they just talk about how they got there and why they stay and what they do. And that seems to have the biggest impact on the women. We have no shortage of ladies from industry who want to come and present their industries and share their stories and talk to them about, if you're interested in this, here are some things that you can do. We've had some of the participants actually reach out to some of our speakers to ask further questions, to get more information, to start that conversation about, I'm really interested in this. Can you help me figure out what is the best way for me to maneuver to get into this? And so it's really been pretty cool. Brenda, do you have anything you want to share about that, about the industry partners that have come in?
I think one thing that stands out to me is that even like having lawyers come out talking about workers' comp and sexual harassment and things of that nature, and for them to say, usually we're on the other side of this, but we want to come in and teach you exactly how you can avoid this. I mean, it's just watching all of the partners come together from so many different aspects of what we consider when we think about workforce has been really amazing and really impactful to the participants. They love it.
Mm-hmm.
And can you guys talk about some of those partners? I know that you do a financial literacy and a digital literacy session, like who else are you working with besides your employer partners?
So, okay, I have to pull up on my screen so that I can see.
I have
Because
a
I
list pulled up.
forget.
You want me to go, Jenny?
So many. So we have, and Brenda, I'm going to start. So like I said, we hired an instructor. He teaches at 2 of our career centers. And so he came in to do the curriculum for the industry recognized credential. Stark State College, which is a strong partner of ours. They come in and talk about the resume and the cover letter. In the past, they have done some of the interview prep as well. Of course, our OMJ Summit County comes in. Some of our other partners that we use, Metro was one of our industry partners that came in to talk about transportation, and not just bus driving, but some of the other jobs that people have within Metro. You think Metro, oh, it's a bus driver, but there are so many more jobs and occupations within Metro that most people just don't think about. And the same goes for manufacturing. We had 3 of our manufacturing companies come in, and everybody came in with a different background, a different skill set. They talked about different jobs that they had, and different paths to get there. Let's see, Brenda, I don't know if you want to jump in. She mentioned we have a labor law attorney, KWW. They came in and did the sexual harassment. The public library did the digital skills. Project Learn came in and did math, and they also have done some work on teamwork. Brenda, who else? Do you have it up in front of you?
I do. I think all that you have is just the mental health and the emotional wellness. We have Healing Hearts come in and do the mental health in the workplace. We have Her Beautiful Mind come in and do the workplace etiquette and decorum, and just a few other like emotional wellness sort of topics, like healthy boundaries and things of that nature. And then recently, just this cohort, we added a company called Wild Peaceful Free, who comes in and they just do like some very brief yoga exercises, some meditation, and again, just grounding practices on what to do when you're stressed out, some very simple techniques.
Yeah, we've also got an insurance company that comes in and talks about safety. They are big into OSHA, this particular firm and these 2 guys. And so they come in and do a really great job talking about safety, because most of the safety things go across any of the industries that we're talking about. And I think maybe making it a little less scary. Women who don't know what, some of these non-traditional industries are, think, oh, there's big equipment. It sounds like it's dangerous. And so I think they come in from the safety perspective of talking about, some of the basic safety things, and kind of maybe taking some of the fear out of, going into work in an environment that may be unfamiliar to them.
I had a question. This is Jordan. So you mentioned that there were eight incumbents in the cohort, and some of them were from other countries. So I can't help but ask, was sponsorship required for any of them, or is that a stipulation that you must be a U.S. citizen and not require sponsorship in order to get into the program?
For them, sponsorship was not required to get into the program. And it really wasn't something that we even thought to ask. It was the first time that it happened, but because they were already registered with OMJ and Project Learn, then we just went ahead and had them complete the program as long as they were work eligible.
Got it. So they may or may not be dependent on each situation. Okay.
Correct.
Well, we thank you all very much for your attention. And certainly if you have any questions, you can reach out to Bernie and she can get a hold of me. I see Bernie on a fairly regular basis. And so we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have either now or down the road. But thank you again for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything to wrap things up with, Bernie?
Just feel free to contact me if this is something that you feel you'd like to participate in. I will tell you that Lorain County Community College plans to host at least one Wise Pathways session in the spring semester. So I'd love to be able to engage some of the folks that are on this call as we begin the planning for that. And thinking about your networks too. So in addition to your own slant as an employer, what are those community-based organizations in Lorraine County that are like the Well, in Akron, Brenda's group, that could help us stand things up. So more to come on all that. We'll be pushing some information out to you via the Lorraine Chamber. And of course, this can also be a topic of discussion for those of you who are involved in the sector partnership.
Right.
So
I just have a couple of, I'll just throw this out there because we've had a couple of Zoom meetings and meetings recently, and so much of it has been focused on men and filling some of these jobs with men. I guess I'm curious, is there, I think it was just this morning we were on a call where OMJ and other like United Way, they provide suits, or they at least get some clothing for these men. Is there a opportunity for women to actually get proper clothes to go on an interview? And you guys help with that as well too?
we have a career closet at Lorraine County. Community
There is
College.
at Bernie too, or you guys have it as well too. And I guess my other question to the women would be, are you finding women that were formerly incarcerated as becoming a little bit more common when you're trying to help get these placements too? Because again, that's a big topic that we've been talking about, but most of the time it's about men and recidivism with men, but the topic for women just doesn't seem to come up. So anything to add as far as that goes?
I can jump in here. We, HHW recently partnered with an organization called A Place to Recover that's located in Lorraine County that
Yeah, sure.
focuses on the reentry population and restored citizens. And we were able to connect them with role model speakers to talk about, those industries which are more open to hiring second chance citizens. So that's absolutely a population that we're
That's great.
working
Well,
with.
I know Wendy really well. I think most of the people on this call do. So that's good to know that you guys are working with her and her organization as well too. So that's all I had. I just figured it would be something else to kind of keep on the top of everybody's mind. So I know, Bernie, you and I were talking about the January one. Were we going to do it on the 5th, or are we moving that one because of the first week? I can't remember what we decided.
Right now it's planned for the 5th,
Okay.
and the focus is returning citizens. Is the
Oh,
second
okay.
chance
Well, there you
hiring.
go. Perfect. See,
So-
sometimes I swear I didn't set that up on purpose, but
Just like the
it
one
either,
time we were
it
talking
either
about.
makes me look like I really know what I'm talking about, or I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I'll let you guys decide on that. So,
Yeah.
besides that, I guess we'll look forward to seeing everybody come on and participate in January.
Yeah, so Tony, just a little commercial on that one. We're going to have our colleagues from Magnet in Cleveland talking about their access program that they've launched very successfully. And we work on reporting back to the federal government and various other funders, and the information, the heartfelt messages that they have received from these participants through this program, and the life-changing aspect of all of this is it really tugs at your heartstrings. So we look forward to that. We look forward to learning from them as far as what they found success with and challenges. It's not just all fun and games when you're trying to launch programs like this, but so hopefully we'll learn more from that also.
That's great. So look for the email, hopefully in your boxes by the end of the day today. Thank you, Casey and Jenny, and to Brenda. I know she had to sign off. So everybody have a great day. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.